Hey guys, I'm Matero here, back with a new video. For today's video, I'll be playing Kingdom Ascension in my usual 100-day style video. And before I get into it, Kingdom Ascension is a medieval-themed strategy wargame where you step into the role of a lord, starting from scratch to build your kingdom. Collect resources, construct buildings, recruit troops, explore, and embark on adventures to expand your territory and defend your homeland, as said on its Steam page. So if this interests you, feel free to check it out in Steam and download the demo version for you to try it out. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. I started the game as an adventurer on normal mode, giving me an additional deployable troop, additional 20% troop movement speed, and 50% more bonus on collecting events. As I was only given 30 days to try out the game, there was no time for lollygagging, and so in no lollies did I gag.
It's kinda sus.
I acquired my first construction area in the build menu and built a farm. Food will come a long way in this game, as food will be needed in recruiting warriors from the town or the barracks. Later that day, I also scouted the countryside settlement, unlocking the village where I can recruit hunters and farmers from. I then gathered some resources to the north of my base, giving me some gold, food, and materials. And with the available food that I have, I recruited my first 2 hunters. I then discovered the logging site later that day. Recapturing it would give me a steady production of 3 materials per hour. I acquired 2 more construction areas from the build menu today. And since I don't have enough materials yet, I went on recruiting 2 more hunters to join my warband in recapturing the logging site. It had 7 weak enemies guarding it, so I'll probably need the same number of units in my warband. 2 more hunters were recruited later that day, giving me a total of 6 hunters in my warband. Now I'm thinking that my hunters will need some meat shield, and so I started recruiting farmers early that day. I recruited a total of 4 farmers that day before deciding to reclaim the logging site. I put the farmers in front of my hunters and started the battle. I did have the numbers, so the outcome was very much expected. The lumber mill was only the beginning, and I'll have to prepare for the late game by establishing a stable food supply and recruiting better and higher tiered warriors. Now that I have some materials in the stash, I then built the house, expanding my population by 5. And a clinic in hopes to reduce mortality rate after each battle. And since I had some gold to spare, I acquired 2 more construction areas in the build menu. The next point of interest is the sentry post south of the base. Recapturing this would give me the visibility of the next region of the map, and the only thing that's standing between us were these weak enemies. 26 of them to be exact. With enough materials, I upgraded my house and farm to level 2. As the day was about to start, I got a message alerting me of endless hordes hindering my territory expansion. And only by uprooting their power completely will this war truly come to an end. And so it begins. The first wave of enemies comes in 3 days. I'll have to take note of this. Wouldn't want to have a repeat of what happened in my trial run. Oh! Return, 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 return. I didn't even notice. Oh no, I think we'll lose here. Yo, this is a fail. That was a fail. Broken throne. Nothing else happened this day other than to amass an army and upgrade my house to level 3, providing me with more population. Okay, I lied. Right before the day ended, I noticed a bunch of thieves running about, and so I instructed my men to engage them in battle. I'll need whatever loot they have if I want to become stronger. With enough materials, I decided to build a barracks to recruit better and stronger units, other than just hunters and farmers. And so I recruited some blacksmith. And well, I still need some cannon fodder, so I still got some farmers. I noticed a band of thieves strolling into my base, and even before they could do anything, I engaged them right outside my base. Today was just recruitment day, adding iron heads and more blacksmiths to my army composition. As soon as the timer ran out, I felt a great disturbance in the force, probably because of this bomb icon and ominous background music. So I went on to recruit just a couple more warriors to help defend my base. And before they even reached my base, I had my warriors sally out and face them on the field. Fortunately, they only had few weak troops, and I outnumbered them 3-1. So this should be another easy fight. I then marched my army to the first sentry post to the south. This would be my first sorta big scale battle, so I'm quite nervous. But it does say weak enemies, so I'm slightly hopeful despite their numbers. I won't have reserves for this battle, but at least I would use 100% of my army's strength compared to the enemy's small trickle of units. I'm sensing another win in the bag! With the recent victories rewarding me with many materials, I then made a research institute in my base. This would enable me to research various improvements, not just for production, but also for my army's potential. I also upgraded my farm to level 3 later that night. Day 9 was pretty uneventful, as I just recruited more warriors to join my army composition. By the afternoon of day 10, I had fully discovered all the places that I would one day reclaim from the enemy, starting with the marketplace. Acquiring this would give me a steady income of 30 gold coins per hour. I've also started to recruit tier 2 troops. Aside from city building and resource management, the game is also like a battle simulator. So you'll see a whole lot of this in this video, especially against thieves and bandits, because this is one way to farm renown. Today was a major recruitment day. I started out recruiting more tier 2 troops. I even had to forcibly use the supplies I got from the spoils of war to get more food just so I can recruit more and more troops. And now that I had an army of 45, it was time for war once more. I decided to attack the Dark Swamp first. I lost some minor units, but what's this? Muster troops? Well, don't mind me if I do. It even allows me to have more than my population cap of 45.
Nice.
Now time to storm the thieves' camp. Well. Bite my nuts and call me Skippy. What? I must have appeased Ares somehow, because getting 2 reinforcements in a row is just pure madness. Now the next sentry post was being guarded by 51 enemies, 48 of which are weak. But first, let me go say hi to this caravan and escort their treasures into my pockets. The logic behind my setup here was to burn through their high troops with my lower ones, so that when the time comes, my higher troops will have the edge over their units. Plus, I had the numbers, so I was not scared of anything at all. I continued the onslaught until early this morning, but again, everything was just going my way, so I'll skip out on this one. I have also made some improvements that morning, upgrading my farm to level 5, my house to level 4, my clinic to level 2, and my barracks to level 5. And if it weren't for this ominous sound, I wouldn't have noticed the enemy launch another attack to counter my expansion. I now outnumber them 4 to 1, so the enemy didn't really bother me a single bit. Not even a smidge. It's too easy. Too easy! An event popped up today asking me whether I approve of the construction of the fishing lodge or preserve the lake's natural state. The former gave me an output of 15 food and 30 gold, while the latter gave me 150 renown. Of course I had to choose what's feeding my army, so the former was a no-brainer. And without any more distraction, I rallied my troops and marched towards the next sentry post. And before the day ended, I upgraded my house to level 5, giving me extra population for my growing army. And my clinic to level 3, again, in hopes to reduce the mortality rate per battle. I also noticed today that I had way too many hunters because of those reinforcement events that happened 3 days ago. So I kept engaging in small battles, sending my hunters to the front lines again and again. Today was different though. I went for a caravan this time around as my greedy pockets were crying out loot as they appeared on the map.
Mine.
And I was back at it trying to burn through my hunters as I farmed up renown battle after battle. And finally, now that I have enough room in my army, I recruited more of the tier 2 troops. And with enough resources, I acquired both the blacksmith shop, which gives me a steady production of 0.1 metal per hour, and the inn that gave me a population boost of 30 and an additional 20 gold income per hour. Other than engaging with the caravan, I've made multiple improvements in my base yet again, upgrading my research institute to level 2, building a library to boost knowledge production and upgrading it to level 2, building another farm and another house, and upgrading the former to level 5 to support my soldier recruitment. And right before the incursion could take place, I mustered a few more helping hands to aid in defending my base from the enemy. They really got to make this more challenging, I feel like. Too easy! And before the day ended, I got to upgrade my barracks to level 6, which allowed me to recruit this bad boy, the Life Slayer. Now recruiting tiers 3 and 4 units are no walk in the park either, as they also need renown to join you. So as much as I wanted to muster a heck ton of them, I can only do so one by one. And that's probably why I pushed to construct a monument, because this would provide me with a production of 0.1 renown per hour. And so that I could showcase how good the Life Slayer was, here's a battle simulation of it. The Life Slayer hurls his spear, damaging and piercing through all enemies in a line. Imagine having a line of Life Slayers.
Delicious.
And the downside being that it is very susceptible to enemy arrows. Day 22 was yet again another uneventful day, just recruiting more glass cannon and meat shield troops. And so was day 23. I know I haven't been talking about this since the start, but I have been dabbling with the tech tree as well, improving on production speed, troop health and damage, and the rate at how my units spawned in the battlefield with respect to how many they are in a line, how many could fit in the front lines, and how fast the reserves can support the front lines. I feel like this is something that would be different per person and scenario, hence why I haven't been talking about it much. I also built a plantation in my base. This is a late game food supply as this pumps out a heck ton of food per hour compared to a level 5 farm. If you ever find yourself picking between the executioner or the butcher, do yourself a favor and just don't. Or maybe because I don't know how to utilize them, but as of the late, all I can say is that if it's a melee unit, it's cannon fodder. What you really want to invest in are good or great range units, like the Life Slayer, which I managed to have 2 now. Oh yeah, the invasion occurred again, and well, I'll just play it out here since this would be the last invasion before day 30 hits. And I marched towards the last sentry post early this morning. See what I mean here? The executioner, although it hits like a truck, it is not that tough, and it's very slow. And the butcher, fairly better than the executioner, attacks faster, but again, the problem remains that if it's a melee unit, I expect that they'll die with ease, especially if against many range units. Maybe I should have put more tier 2 or tier 3 tanky units to pair up with my tier 4 units. And despite the loss of 2 of my tier 4 units, my army was successful at reclaiming the last sentry post. On day 28, I was able to acquire the town in the new region, which would skyrocket my income to 180 gold per hour. And I decided to march up towards the White Mist Blind Forest in the 3rd region as well. I went with my usual setup because this has been my ace since the beginning. But unfortunately, one of my Life Slayers had been slain in battle. 29 farmers? Really? Okay. This was rather an unpleasant reinforcement event, but this was the optimal decision compared to the other 2 choices being offered. It's the last day tomorrow and you're being offered 66 free units to storm the enemy base. This felt like a go big or go home decision if you ask me. This is it, day 30, the last day, and we're only given until midday to finish the trial campaign. The emergence of the ultimate fortress. After a long exploration and many battles, we have finally discovered the enemy's ultimate fortress. Conquering the fortress will lead to the collapse of the entire hostile force and bring the war to an end. This will also be the toughest battle yet. It's time to end it all. Being protected by 220 units, 37 of which were powerful enemies, this was indeed the toughest battle I have faced so far. The enemy easily outnumbers me 1 to 2, but with less than 9 hours to finish the trial period, it was time to go big and not go home, for my mama didn't raise no quitter. I'll just play this encounter out for all to enjoy my army's demise. And there you have it. I wasn't successful at the very end, but I did have lots of fun playing the game. For some odd reason, this reminds me a whole lot of the Mount & Blade series if instead of open world RPG, it was just a battle simulator. But anyways, I hope you enjoy that content, and if you've made it this far, I hope I earned your subscription with this video. That's it for me for today. I'm Imatiro, and I'll see you guys in the next video.